Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. This is Progressive Discussions, the hard-hitting internet talk radio show on video. I am your host for Progressive Discussions, James P. Madonna, and I am with my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, and it happens to be Saturday, March 31st, 2012. It got cold again. We had a very warm early summer for a while. I think it was the warmest March on record with a high pollen count, but now we're back to very damp, chilly, normal March, April temperatures, because it is the 31st and tomorrow is April Fool's Day. So being that we won't be here, April Fools. I have nothing to fool you about, because we deal in hard-hitting truth here. How you doing here? How you feeling, Reverend Dr. Bill?
Very good, very good.
Okay.
Got up this morning, still alive. Ready to tackle those conservatives.
Ready to tackle and bash
those people who are deceived.
You mean the corporatists and the
corporatists?
What about
yes.
the false prophets?
False prophets. All of those, Revelation 12:9, all those that are deceived. The whole world.
The whole world is deceived. That is true.
The whole world is my classroom.
Well, last week the topic was Revelation 12:9, because one of the best ways to fight with and defeat a conservative is to accurately interpret the Bible and call them out on all of their claims, because they really do not know the Bible. So that's probably the best foundation for dealing with a conservative. And we all know conservatives represent the devil's economics. They're tools of Satan, simply because they only care about profit before people or profit before the planet. Environmental issues, the ice sheets melting, the oceans rising, global warming, so on and so forth.
The solar flares are coming.
Nuclear power plants that might have meltdowns all over the United States. If the great solar storm that we're going to have the end of this year is going to knock out some major grids, that might happen, right? And it's way too, like Dr. Garrianell says, there's way too many nuclear power plants in the United States. Future Fukushimas. But let me, I don't really have any specific topic, so we're going to get into the newspaper articles very early. But I'm going to read something that I think is applicable to today. All right. Well, they're both connected. Of course, I don't have room to put the both of them in the title, so I will only put one. But I just want to read it. I know I've read it in the past, but it's very important. It has a lot to do with the class warfare and what's going on today with the economy. I'm talking about the right-wing conservative corporatists versus the little guy, versus the progressive liberals who care, who have compassion for the mainstream and the poor. Yes, it is a war, but guess what? The progressive liberals are not waging it. They're victimized by this new fascist regime that seems to be emerging out of conservative corporatism, perhaps? All right, let me read it. All right. Now, first of all, fighting a conservative. Well, I got news for the right-wingers. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. Prove all things. Can they prove all things? I don't think so.
No, they take everything by faith. Their faith.
Deluded faith.
Deluded faith.
Delusions.
Yes, their faith.
All right. Now, he that oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he that gives to the rich shall surely come to want. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 16.
Doesn't every business or corporation do that? Don't
Yes.
they oppress their workers because any good capitalist cannot ever pay the worker his true worth.
And when the worker receives his pay, does his pay keep up with the cost of living?
Not today.
Does the worker have surplus cash to enjoy the so-called American dream or save up for important things? Not today. It's way below the cost of living. Way below. Actually, what corporations want to pay people is the minimum wage or less, and then eventually cast everybody into slavery.
I heard someone say today that if the minimum wage had kept up with inflation, today it would be $10. No, it wouldn't. It would be over 20.
Yeah, you're right. It won't be $10. What kind of cost? What parts of the country are they referring to when they say $10 would be the normal minimum wage?
I have no idea, but it ain't around here.
It doesn't seem very realistic.
Around here, we pay $1,400 for a 3.5 room apartment.
Insane. A studio is what, $800?
Who the hell knows what a studio is?
Yeah, well, my right wing Republican uncle keeps on sending me political stuff, cartoons that are kind of, some of them are racist and anti-Obama, and but Obama hasn't been an angel lately either, and some of them, most of them are anti-progressive liberal. And he told me one time, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Yeah, the tough get going. Where do you go? Where are the jobs? All right, now.
Not only the jobs, but what if all of the breaks, the benefits, are already pre-designed to be going to others rather than you? The others, those on the top.
Those on the top of the food chain, whatever, the totem pole. Yeah, you're talking about the elitists.
Yes.
The top 30 or 1%.
Yes. It's everything has been designed to be in their favor.
Okay.
For at least the last 32 years.
Okay, let me read the last thing here. And this is probably what will go in the title. He that makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent. Proverbs chapter 28, verse 20. Very powerful. Hey, a lot of people make...
And of course, on the new one is the as a nail sticketh between two stones, so sin sticks to buying and selling.
That means God's not too crazy about capitalism. That's what that means. It's obvious. That's obvious, and you know. But getting back to he who makes haste to be rich, aren't all right-wing Republicans like that? Corporatists, and including blue dog Democrats, they're like that. He who makes haste to be rich. What about corporate American CEOs? They make haste to be rich. So do common criminals. What about the false prophets of today, the so-called TV evangelists that talk about getting rich only, like your Joel Osteens and your Peter Popoffs, and who's the other one? Oh yeah, there are others. They talk about money all the time. Well, no, Harold Camping doesn't really talk about getting rich. He just fixated. Rich. He's fixated. He gets rich while he talks about the end time rapture. He is a rapturist. He's a rapture obsessed man. You know, which is like an escape hatch, right? Getting beamed up by Scotty, getting beamed off the world.
Yeah, well, they ought to get it right, though.
Yeah, but yeah, makes haste to be rich. That sounds like today's right-wing corporatist politics, as far as I'm concerned, the Republican Party, and many Democrats. But hey, what's this deal? Before you read the articles, what is this deal with this insane law that it's illegal to feed the homeless, to feed the poor.
That's what I hear.
Sounds pretty crazy to me, doesn't it?
This is a crazy world, is it not?
That's that. In other words, no compassion.
That's correct.
No compassion for the poor and the homeless.
We read that in Timothy, do we not? How it will be in the end time?
People will grow cold.
No compassion without
natural
affection.
Which was the last issue of Censored. Yes, it was. That was the issue I was reading from when I quote the Bible. Without natural affection, people will grow cold. Information will rapidly increase, like technology. And as the information and technology and the knowledge rapidly increases in the end times, at the same time the compassion and love and human feelings go down like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's insane. And the excuses some of them are making, like New York City Mayor Bloomberg says, well, I don't approve of the quality of the food that the homeless are receiving. I want them to have better quality food. Okay, who's gonna supply it? Who's gonna pay for it?
Yeah, that's not part of the rationalization.
No, not at all. Yeah. So it's totally bonkers. This is my prop, or me prop. It is a blackthorn weapons grade shillelagh imported from Ireland, and I like to wave it around like a gavel, and it helps me emphasize certain things. And I have 2 shiny, sparkly 4-leaf clovers on each side now, thanks to my St. Patrick's Day feast. Even though some rude, nasty person left me a message about me talking about my all-you-can-eat corned beef brisket and cabbage. He says, hey, I got an all-you-can-eat buffet of my man meat that you can chomp on, you can eat over here.
You can dispense with that idiot.
I didn't answer him. Of course I'm not going to. I refuse to answer rude, nasty, vile people like that have nothing intelligent or meaningful to contribute. So if you don't have anything meaningful to contribute, please don't send us any message at all.
Yeah. Go back into your hole.
Yeah, go back slither back under your rotted log. You know what I mean? I have no, it doesn't bother me anymore. I laugh at it, but I won't answer them. Hey, what's the deal? Newt Gingrich is broke now? Is he really that broke?
No, well, he's been broke per se.
Yeah.
That his commercials and everything are being paid by some rich guy. That's what has been keeping him in the race.
He's got a sugar daddy. He's got a sponsor, right?
Yeah, you know, according to the Supreme Court, Citizens United decision, any big stud can put up moolah for any, you know, campaigner, and not even tell you who they are or whatever, and you know, try to get them elected.
Right.
So that's what has been happening with him. His organization is sort of running out of money or something like that, or he didn't have such a good organization. He was not even on ballots in certain states and all this other stuff, but this Jumbaloney was running commercials for him, spending millions of dollars.
Yeah, and I know Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura seem to be behind Ron Paul because they believe he's, I guess Alex Jones is a libertarian.
Only on certain issues.
Certain issues that you were saying last week.
Right.
But anyway, the first article, sir, since we have a little extra time, since I just wanted to say what I said about the Bible quotes.
New Jersey children won't be eating so-called pink slime.
Oh, gee, after they got caught, right?
In their burgers in the cafeteria next school year, says the state's Department of Agriculture. A memo sent Friday to district leaders statewide said the department, which administers the school lunch program, will only buy meat made without the filler, formerly known as lean, finely textured beef,
Pure beef. Oh, gee, like it's a new product. It's like when you see on a milk carton or a cheese package, oh, this is real dairy, real cheese, real milk. 100% cow's milk. You ever see that? I think that's on farmland dairy containers.
Hey, if it was 100% cow's milk, wouldn't it be unpasteurized, unhomogenized?
I know what they mean.
Certified raw
Certified
milk.
raw from a local dairy. Organic, certified raw like it's supposed to be from a local dairy, and that includes all your produce and all your chicken, eggs, and livestock like it was originally in this country. You know why? You know what they mean by 100% milk, dairy milk, or 100% cow's milk? That means that a company like Farmland Dairies, which is a local company in New Jersey, does not use the recombinant bovine growth hormone. That's what they're getting at. Supposedly.
Public concern has been growing over the last few weeks about the ingredients, with some schools taking burgers and meatballs off the menu to make sure they avoid serving it. The United States Department of Agriculture insists the filler is safe and has been used in many beef products for 2 decades. It is made by grinding up beef scraps together and then washing it with ammonia hydroxide.
Lovely.
To kill bacteria such as E. coli and Salmonella.
Well, it is the pink slime is the waste of the beef, the byproducts, right? And then some.
This mixture is blended into traditional ground beef and made into patties. Outrage in the news media and on social networking sites ignited a protest against pink slime recently. And several supermarket companies such as Kroger, Safeway, Stop and Shop have said they will not sell the beef that contains it. McDonald's and other fast food restaurants have also pledged to stop using it. Donald Schaffner, director of the Center for Advanced Food Technology at Rutgers University, said on Monday that there were no food safety concerns over pink slime.
Oh, really? Despite the ammonia?
But that the filler's public relations problem made it reasonable for New Jersey authorities to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you got to use the ammonia to kill the Salmonella and the E. coli that might be there. Because it is there.
For them to use it as a standard ingredient in the pink slime, that means it's there among other things.
People don't like the idea of ammonia being used to treat their food.
Oh, gee.
Despite the fact that it is an approved process.
Oh, it's approved by our government. What is it? The USDA that approved this.
Yeah. And approved. It is an approved additive. The New Jersey Department of Agriculture and others that are removing it from the foods that they handle or sell are responding to public sentiment, which is a reasonable thing to do, even though it is not based on science. The department memo noted that the United States Agriculture Department could not identify which shipments of beef that had already been distributed contained the additive. If it's so great, if it's so fantastic, and we need it, put it on a label! School districts can cancel beef ordered for the remainder of this school year, but will not receive subsidies attached to those orders. Lynn Richmond, a spokeswoman for the state Agriculture Department, said the decision to stop using lean, finely textured beef next year followed a federal recommendation. However, officials at the USDA did not respond to calls for comment. Richmond said many school districts will be placing orders in the next few months for next fall's menus, and that the memo aimed to give them guidance.
I'm shocked that it was approved by the USDA. That shocks me.
Well, the USDA, the FDA, they'll approve any kind of,
poison?
But any kind of drug.
Look at Monsanto.
That will kill you.
They approved drugs that go to market too early. They approve of Monsanto's toxic garbage, and GMOs and genetically modified plants and everything. The FDA. Do you think maybe the people in the U.S.
They'll approve all of that, but they will not approve vitamins and minerals.
Because it does a lot of good. It keeps people at optimal health. It keeps you healthy. So the drug companies won't make any money off of you with their racket. Do you think some of these people in the FDA and the USDA perhaps are getting their palms greased?
Absolutely, they are on panels, and they have ties to the industries that they are supposed to oversee.
Like the food industry, the drug
companies. And then the revolving door.
You think there are lobbyists that constantly taunt them? Like Satan,
money talks.
Like Satan taunts people, and that anytime you see a movie when Satan offers you the whole world if you sign the dotted line,
well,
for your soul.
Satan is a little more sophisticated than that. He doesn't taunt. He influences.
He winky dinks. I mean, he tricks you. He tricks you.
Exactly. You don't know. Remember, the deceived do not know they are deceived.
So all these people, all these schmucks, I mean, all these probably middle-class Americans that voted in a Republican Congress, they did not know that the things being told to them by Republican politicians were lies.
Well,
they're not aware that they were lies.
They certainly aren't, because they keep voting for them. But then again, you get back to
ideology.
You get back to the problem that in their minds, and in a lot of people's minds, there are only two choices: a Democrat and a Republican. And they're not going to, these religious nuts, the red states, are not going to vote for a Democrat, because a Democrat is a baby killer, secular humanist. They're not going to vote for them. So what choice do they have?
Yeah, Dr. Gary Null was saying it the other day. You know, people, there are in fact, independent candidates. Was it Rocky Anderson?
6 or 7, yeah. Joe Stein, Dr. Bill.
Reverend
4
Dr.
more.
William J. Eisman.
You ever hear of them? No, you don't hear of them.
Well, Rocky Anderson is the first person Gary Null mentions.
Yeah.
And the other one you mentioned. But who knows what they... See, Gary says search out and see what they stand for. But, of course, the sad part is the American media hasn't interviewed them. And I doubt if they're going to get invited to the debates. Presidential debates.
What we need is a clearinghouse where all of these people are brought together, or in some way, shape, or form thrust before the American public.
Well, what used to happen
without money.
When I was not a kid, when I was a lot younger.
When I was a young whippersnapper,
they used to have the debates for the two-party system, Democrat versus Republican, and then they used to have the debates for the independents.
That's when the debates were under the control of the
League of Women
Voters.
League of Women Voters.
An independent organization.
And you know who was part of that debate? Lyndon LaRouche, I remember. He was in it.
He used to be there too, yeah.
He was in it every time. Ralph Nader, I think, was in there.
Now the only time you see Linda LaRouche is down at our local post office.
Calling Obama a Nazi. Yeah, why does LaRouche keep on calling a Democrat a fascist when in reality it's the right wing that believes in fascism? I mean, is LaRouche a libertarian, or is he just nuts?
He's just nuts.
Or both. Oh, he's nuts. Okay.
We don't know what the hell he is.
Anyway, aside from him, yes, fascism is alive and well. You know, look at this situation with the tragic shooting of the 17-year-old African-American boy in Florida. Do you have an article today about him?
No, I do not, because, frankly, this is being PR'd right now.
Yeah, I know. I noticed.
This is being PR'd, you know. They're trying to protect the guy, the shooter, and they're really PRing this whole thing up.
With the law about standing your ground.
Well, that may not even apply here.
But But the thing, I saw a sign on Facebook. It said that Jesus wore a hoodie, and it had a picture of Jesus with the robe, or something. See, the point is, regardless what the young man, regardless how he dressed, that's the style. Kids dress ghetto because that's the style, whether it be something gangs wear or not.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
That's the point. The point is he was a child with a can of soda and a bag of Skittles in his hand, right?
Being followed by...
Being stalked.
Being stalked.
Like a predator.
When told not to by the 911 officer.
Oh, really?
Mr. Zimmerman was told, we don't need you to do that.
Then why is he protected? How come this man is not in jail right now?
Because it's Sanford, Florida, that's why.
Interesting. I didn't know this.
The police
told him to stand down and do not follow and stalk this boy.
They said...
unarmed boy.
The dispatcher asked him, are you following him? And Mr. Zimmerman said yes. He actually said yeah. And the dispatcher said, we don't need you to do that.
Exactly. He's a security officer, right?
Now the kid, from what I heard, may have weighed 140 pounds, whereas Mr. Zimmerman weighed well over 200 pounds.
But the point is...
Yet the kid was on top of him, beating his nose and banging his head, and etc. But when he walked into the police station, there was no indications of any of that.
Of a scuffle.
Of a scuffle.
So he blew him away in cold blood.
That's what it looks like, for some reason.
The boy's unarmed, regardless.
Oh, well, he had the can of soda, did he?
Oh, really?
And a little box of Skittles.
Oh, he could throw the Skittles so hard, yeah. like David killing Goliath. Oh, sure.
Hey, I've seen a guy, he throws cards at watermelons. He got right in there.
What is he, a kung fu grandmaster or something?
No, he's a comedian.
Anyway, this is no joke. This is the boy was killed in cold blood. He was racially profiled, despite the fact that, you know, how he was dressed brought up red flags with a lot of people. That's besides the point. If you see suspicious activity, and you're not a police officer, you have no authorization to use lethal force or any violent force. Your job is to report the suspicious activity immediately and let the police take care of it. I don't care if you're...
the suspicious activity, as far as we know at this particular time, was him walking back from the 7-Eleven.
Big deal.
To his house.
Big deal.
That was a suspicious activity.
So it was racism. Even though...
As I say, we're not learning anything because the police did not do their job.
Even though...
there was no investigation.
Even though I was told...
This is over 5 weeks old.
Even though I was told by a conservative friend that there has been some crime in that part of Florida, some shootings.
So?
And the fact that the boy had a hoodie, it got people nervous seeing him. But that's no excuse for...
There was no people got nervous, except Mr. Zimmerman.
Well, he profiled.
There was no other people involved here except people that were, listening to this. There are some witnesses who listen to this.
It's racial.
He was on the phone. The kid was on the phone with his girlfriend.
Oh boy, he was minding his own business with soda and Skittles, candy.
Walking back to his house from the 7-Eleven.
So big deal, he had a hoodie. Big damn deal. Going from the 7-Eleven to his house. I don't know how the conservatives try to rationalize why somebody should kill somebody else without reason in cold blood. I don't know how they rationalize it, but
they do.
It sounds like a perfect example of racial profiling and a child being murdered based on the racial profiling that took place. As far as I'm concerned, Zimmerman was supposed to simply report suspicious activity and let the police take care of it. Period.
And if something happened, he was certainly supposed to be investigated. No, the crime was to be investigated. The Sanford Police Department failed to do that. That's why the chief is not there anymore. He has temporarily taken himself out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's an acting chief right now.
No professionalism in Sanford, Florida, is there?
No, there isn't. Because of racism.
Now, do you see a pattern here?
That's the problem.
I see a pattern. Stop me if I'm wrong. I see a pattern that ever since G.W. Bush and ever since the Republican Congress, there has been a slow increase in mean-spiritedness, lack of compassion for the poor and the homeless, and racial profiling. I noticed a slow increase in these things. Racial profiling and blatant racism against Arab Americans, Muslim Americans,
blacks and brown people,
blacks, people of color, Hispanic people like Mexicans in working in America's South, and Mexican Americans being arrested for no reason and deported, and even Hispanics that are legally in the country. All this stuff, it's all since the right wing took charge. I just noticed it. I mean, is it my imagination or is there a pattern here?
No, it's always been, but, once they get power, these things start surfacing. Like a bubbling pool. These things bubble up. It's always there.
It's always there.
It's always been there with the right wing. Yeah. Racism.
Okay, now do you have
I have a small one.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Let's get ready.
Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Ah, the capital of Pennsylvania.
An organization that includes atheists and agnostics has filed a lawsuit over a state house resolution that declares 2012 the year of the Bible.
Whose Bible?
Saying the measure violates the United States Constitution's provision that prevents government from enacting laws respecting an establishment of religion. The Freedom from Religion Foundation on Monday sued the measure's main sponsor, Representative Rick Saccone, Republican Allegheny, House Clerk Tony Barbouche, and House Parliamentarian Clancy Meyer over the resolution.
Huh, interesting. So in other words, well, the right wing is always trying to combine church and state. They're trying to force their religious cult on you, okay? On you, the American people. And like the Inquisition, it's part of their fascist agenda. And I'm talking about people like this. Rick, he belongs in a santorum. You see him?
Yeah.
In a straitjacket. This is his home. This is where he lived before he got into politics. Okay. Yeah,
you see how
easy
it is for a nut to, you know, come out of the sanitarium and get into politics?
So he's in a straitjacket. He's got a grimace on his face. Is that in the camera?
Yeah.
And Rick Santorum, the Sanitarium Santorum, he had a very odd speech recently where he's talking about how great and crisp the British uniform was during the Revolutionary War. He was carrying on about they looked so great and the uniforms were so crisp. David Letterman was showing it. So he comes out with stupid things that
what the hell does that have to do with anything?
He was explaining. He was rambling on and on about something, and usual American apple pie patriotism mumbo jumbo. How he wants America to be and all that stuff. His idealism, ideology. And then for some reason he started talking about the Revolutionary War or something, and he's talking about how great the British uniforms were. They were so stiff and crisp and they looked great. But when he said it, he had this crazy grin on his face, similar to this. Rick Santorum, similar to this. You know what I mean? It's bizarre.
I wonder what the hell context he was using that in.
Just like my sister. Hold on. Yeah, right. Just like my sister says, we're living in a bizarro world. Anyway, a little blast from the past for you people that love nostalgia. Ronald Reagan's Reaganomics.
Oh God, let's bow down to the God, the right-wing God.
An oldie but a goodie. Trickled down Reaganomics, and there's Ronald Reagan urinating on America, because that is what the American people get with the Republican trickle-down economics. They get pissed down, because in reality, the wealth is siphoned up to the elitists. That's what happens when the right wing implicate trickle-down economics, which is the devil's economics. And there it is. Got it? Oldie but a good.
Your friendly CEO is paid more than you, pal.
What?
I said that's why your friendly CEO is paid more than you. Siphon up.
Well, the CEOs are who are not necessarily the saviors of the corporation, are nothing but pencil and paper pushers, and they are overrated, and they do suck up a great deal of the corporation's profits. Instead of paying the people that work hard with blood, sweat, and tears, and who are really responsible for making money for the company.
Wealth.
Goes to the CEO.
The creators of wealth, the worker.
The true consumer, the little guy. The creators of wealth, the little guy. Not the elitists. The backbone of the American economy, the little guy. Okay, not the elitists. Not the CEO. The CEO is a tool of Satan. He might be misguided, but he's greedy, totally selfish, and has no compassion for anybody. And it's all about greed. It's all about corporatism and profit, and they're trying to take over the world and make it a corporate plutocracy. And they want to pay you next to nothing or enslave you. Look at the perfect example. The huge mega company in China called Foxconn. People get 31 cents an hour. They live in a tiny cubicle in a little tiny dormitory. They work insanely long hours.
They're cleaning up their image. They're another PR success.
And if they form a union, they're thrown in prison for 12 years. There's your right wing.
Yes, but that's a communist country.
There's your right. Yeah.
Totalitarian.
Sure, but they have.
Capitalists love totalitarian.
But they have embraced the evil part of capitalism. They have embraced the evil. You think maybe some of the communist leaders have gotten?
They have Swiss bank accounts. Believe me.
You think they've gotten their palms greased?
Ooh.
All right.
Have they?
We're going to take a break. It's time for Dr. Bill's gastronomic delight known as lunch, followed by high green tea.
God is not doing that. God has a purpose.
So what you're saying is...
He's raising other gods.
So what you're...
You don't need an immortal soul and all this other bullshit stuff. That's what he's doing. He's a brood hen.
He's reproducing himself.
Reproducing himself. So what does that have, you know...
So if somebody is having a crisis in their life and they're in despair...
Tough. Let them solve it. That's the way it is.
It's got to be solved with human intervention. God is not involving himself answering prayers and fixing people's problems.
He answers some people's prayers.
Right now. Some people, if he has a purpose for the person in the end times. Like right now, he's only concerned, what you're saying, he's only concerned with the...
For instance, when the Philadelphia Church of God went against the Worldwide Church of God to get Herbert W. Armstrong's copyright so it could publish his books and things, God helped them win the case.
Because it was important.
Correct. See?
Right, so if it has to do with something of great importance to him, like for instance the 144,000 that will rule in New Jerusalem, he intervenes. But as far as these evangelical Christians, these people that believe in a rapture, that feel that you can talk to him and pray and he will intervene for you and throw you a blessing, what you're saying is that's not true. That's not going to happen. That's it.
That's trying to manipulate. That's vanity. It's coming from self.
All right. What if you pray for the homeless? Is that still self?
Doesn't matter. You're just trying to run a circle around something. Oh, I never pray for myself. I always pray for other people and stuff like that. Bullshit. You're in it for yourself.
Well, how do you do it when you're not in it for yourself? How is it supposed to be done?
You do it God's way.
Well, what about, is God's way, let's say...
God's way is the way of give.
Let's say you physically donate your time and you do something for a food pantry to help poor people, the homeless. Let's say you volunteer and you do something charitable.
So why should you be rewarded for doing what you should be doing?
It should be out of love, out of the fact that you are a Christian, and it should be out of love, not because you want something in return. Now, if your life is blessed because you do compassionate things for your fellow man, if your life...
That isn't enough. That's works. You're not saved by works alone.
Mm-hmm.
That's only what you got to do. It's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But if God has something for you to do, then that's what is important. Nothing else. God is supposed to be first in your life. Period. Now, who the hell can say that?
Well, the Republicans surely don't say it. They put money first.
Exactly.
Right. So in other words, even though God is everywhere and He's all-powerful, He will not respond at this point in time to individual petitions and prayers, no matter how nice they sound, no matter how unselfish they sound. Not at this point in time.
If you really, I think it's Revelation 6, I'm not sure. The prayers of the saints are up there in heaven. The prayers of the saints.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The 444,000. Mm-hmm. Not yours, not mine, and not Ken's.
You're talking about Ken Create.
Mm-hmm.
The grace, the dispensation of grace. All right. Well, you know, we have, for you folks out there that don't know what this is about, the Renaissance man Ken Create and the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman have a difference of opinion about many things.
It's not an opinion.
I mean, a difference of interpretation.
It's not interpretation.
Well, the both of you say, look, he says...
The Bible says one thing, and one thing only.
He says he has the proof to show you. You say you have the proof.
Bring it out. Bring it out.
The both of
Everything I say has scriptural reference to it.
Okay, sir. What if he tells... He's been telling me the same thing that you just said.
Bring it out.
Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
Put it out, black and white, on paper. The scriptural reference.
Exact reference.
Not your opinion and crapola stuff. Bible says one thing, and one thing only. It's not an opinion, it's not an interpretation. It's what it says.
It's what it is.
If you disagree with it, then you disagree with it.
Well, if you disagree with it, you can't. Well, the problem also is people that add to the book or take away from it. That's a big.
Well, what are you doing in that when you offer your opinion and it ain't in there?
No, it's supposed to. The opinion is supposed to be based on what is in there.
That's correct.
And if you have a difference of opinion, you are adding to or taking away from the Bible, which is a big sin. It's at the end of Revelation. It tells you that, the last chapter. So, well, you know, there are two sides of the fence. There are Christians that believe in the immortal soul that gets raptured.
That's a belief.
There are Christians that believe you can pray and you can have a conversation and a relationship with God or Jesus, which, you know, is most likely the same. Huh?
That's a belief.
It's a belief. I'm
talking about what does the Bible say.
They feel it's an interpretation.
I don't care what they feel. Not of interest to me.
But you have scriptural proof to back you up of it. Naturally, right?
Whatever I put in anything, has it got a scripture reference to it or what?
Yeah, yes.
Well, then what do you ask such a question for?
Because I'm trying to clarify.
You're trying to equate the both debaters, and that is impossible to do.
I'm trying to clarify it for our public.
You're equating the devil and God.
Can't do that.
They are offering you the devil when they say something opposite to what the Bible says. Now you, in a debate format, are trying to equate them things. They are not equatable.
Okay. So
if that's a word.
Make myself useful. So what you are saying, to make a long story short, very short, is that the whole concept of having a relationship with the Lord and talking to Him and praying to Him and being raptured up before the tribulation is not in the Scripture. Period. Point blank. That's it.
You're good.
Well,
I don't know what you're saying.
Well, what I'm saying is what you're saying is that what the other side of the fence has been saying, they're wrong. It's not, what they're saying is not in the Bible. Period.
Is there such a thing as the saints going up to meet Jesus as He comes down? Yes.
Yes.
They call that the rapture.
Okay.
The Bible calls it the saints going up to meet Jesus as He's coming down.
So the word rapture is really not per se mentioned in the Bible.
Not in their sense.
Not in their sense.
Yeah. Not in their sense.
They're just taking...
Just like the immortal soul is not mentioned in the Bible. And certainly not in their sense.
And you know,
but does that stop them from believing in it?
No, they believe that the immortal soul flies around when you die, and then eventually your physical body will be resurrected and joined with the immortal soul. That's what
the hell do you need a physical body if you got an immortal soul?
If you have an immortal soul that doesn't feel pain or suffering and can fly anywhere it wants. I mean, granted, you can't eat or have sex, but you know, what you don't feel, you won't miss, probably. It's relative, right? So if you have this, why would you want a physical body again that is bound to the earth? Good point.
Also, why would you need a resurrection? You're calling God a liar. All of that stuff is calling God a liar.
So having
because you're not listening to His plan.
Right.
He has a plan. And it's outlined in the Bible, very clearly, the plan for man. The incredible, human potential. It's there.
Yeah. Right. And
but these people that you're talking about, they have their own plans. They have their own traditions.
So this whole concept of souls and spirits flying around...
goes back to Egypt.
Maybe the
Heaven and hell.
Heaven and hell. Dante's Inferno.
Well, that's more recent.
Yeah. Well,
they believe 13th century.
Yeah, well, they believe in this these areas. One called paradise, and the other one is a place of torment and pain. The other one is a place of pleasure, and they're waiting periods.
Heaven, hell, and purgatory.
The judgment day. That's what they believe. Yeah.
Remember, Luther. You went there and you gave money, and your relative didn't have to hang around in purgatory.
Sounds like Peter Popoff. It sounds like a scam to me.
It's all a scam.
You pay a mortal human being that is in the Catholic Church, and he decides that your relative will be removed from purgatory,
and the Pope can absolve you of sin.
Oh, really? The Pope has a bat phone to God. The Pope is authorized to resolve you of sin. Interesting.
Absolution.
A man can do that. Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Incredible. Sounds like.
But is that an opinion that goes against what the Bible says? Are they equal?
No.
Well,
it sounds like what's happening today with the phony false prophets with the TV evangelists, the money grubbers. You know, it sounds like an ancient version of what we have today. You know, with your Joel Osteens and your Peter Popoffs and the ilk, the other people like it.
And they prey upon those who do not understand God's plan.
True, and also desperate people in despair.
Well, that's the ones. They're just trying to feather their nest, I guess.
Well, you know what they do? They distort the word tithe, the meaning of the word tithing. They distort it. They misinterpret the word tithe.
Tithe is to give moolah or whatever to get God's work done.
Right, not to give 10%.
Now, in other words, that's 10%. But
not in the
your duty as a tither is to find out if that is indeed God's work. That's your job.
Right. But tithing is not to give 10% of your money to some guy on TV's into his pocket, to his bank account. That is not tithing.
Your job is to find out if he represents God.
There you go. And unfortunately,
he's doing God's work.
And unfortunately, they hoodwink people, just like the Pope.
Yeah, they hoodwink people who don't know the Bible.
They tell people, they make people think that they have a bat phone to God and they can approach God on your behalf, which is not true. Anyway, quick promo. This guy here next to me, self-portrait of my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. This is the William J. Eisenman collection of fine watercolor art, and now he's working with is it gouache or gouache? Gouache. It's a material for painting. There is one, his very first gouache painting, and all of his others are on the William J. Eisenman collection slideshow on the internet. You could Google it, or now the William J. Eisenman collection, complete except for one painting, which we're trying to figure out why. The complete collection is viewable to the public on the Newsletter Censored Facebook profile at facebook.com/Newsletter Censored, and you can see it. You don't have to be a Facebook member. You don't have to log in. It's there. It's there. Large paintings, nothing resized. It's all there, like I said, but we're trying to figure out why the one painting won't upload. But anyway, besides the point. Newsletter Censored. The foundation. Oh, about the paintings. If you see something you like, email the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, and if he has it, the bidding usually starts at $500 each. Make him a good offer, and you will get an annual subscription to Censored with it. This is the foundation of our organization. This is how you join our organization. This is the best way to be a part of our organization. Founded in 1977 by my co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. Newsletter Censored contains the 5 taboos of American life, which is politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing. Okay, it is the kind of information that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? So go to newslettercensored.com, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription to Newsletter Censored. You need Newsletter Censored in the end times. You need Newsletter Censored to survive the end times and to hear the real hard-hitting truth that today's mainstream media and the press will never tell you. Okay, you need Newsletter Censored to learn how to defeat a conservative. And if you go to newslettercensored.com, you will also learn how we need to take money out of politics to get rid of the corruption, and how to write in a candidate, because the Reverend Dr. Bill is running for president for the 3rd time as a progressive independent. Okay, and that's basically it. What's new is the fact that the William J. Eisenman collection is on the Facebook, the Newsletter Censored Facebook profile, which you can probably Google also. And we're also proud of having Censored on Demand, Archive Classics, and the God Project on Demand. All the past readings are on the internet. Just Google it. That's the easiest way. Censored on Demand, Archive Classics, and it will come up. And just click on any past reading you want, listen to it, and you know, if worse comes to worse, you know what's been happening? The internet has changed my static IP address again today, and I purposely check in the broadcaster to make sure the IP address is the same, and lo and behold, they keep on switching it back and forth to one IP address back to the original. So I was, this time, instead of having our show not go over, I checked it and I changed it. But something is screwing around with the radio show, which is, the link is at the top of newslettercensored.com. I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's optimum.
Yeah, well, with Gary Noll, they try to screw up Gary Noll too sometimes, who has a great show on, and they have an archived page. Here's just a picture of the how much of a corporation's profit goes to the top, okay, whatever, board of directors, CEO, and how much actually goes to the workers. Doesn't look very good. See the difference? All right. It says here, yeah, 1% went to wages. 88%. This is between 2009 and 2011. 88% of national income growth went to corporate profits, while just 1% went to wages from the organization called Think Progress.
Now do you know why people don't have money to spend?
This is a statistic that is historically unprecedented. All right? Historically unprecedented.
Siphon up.
Siphon up, which actually goes with the trickle-down economics picture with Reagan. All right, so interesting. All right. That is basically it. And then, of course, we have the Looney Tunes. The Looney Tune, right-wing fundamentalist Rick belongs in Rick belongs in a sanitarium santorum in his straitjacket at his lovely home with the bats flying above it, sanitarium, before he got into politics, with the crazy grin on his face. He's nuts. Oh, he's definitely bonkers. So, but you know what? I bet a lot of right-wing fundamentalists will actually.
They believe he's a good Christian.
They'll vote for him based on his religious cult, based on Rick Santorum's religiosity and his theology. His
opinions.
They'll vote for him. you know. But listening to Rick Santorum is, well, at least he might be nuts, but at least he's not annoying like listening to Sarah Palin when she was around, and Barbara Bachman, the human slide whistle.
Michelle Bachman.
Michelle Bachman, that's right. The human slide whistle. But anyway, back to the articles.
Former Vice President Dick Cheney is recovering after heart transplant surgery.
And his body accepted it fine? Everything's...
Cheney was in the intensive care unit of Innova Fairfax Hospital in Falls Church, a Washington suburb.
State of Washington. Oh, or is it? No, Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C.
So you're talking about Virginia? State of Virginia? Okay, because when I think of Washington suburbs, I think of like Alexandria, Virginia, which I
The 71-year-old had been on a heart transplant list for more than 20 months. 2 years ago, Cheney had a left ventricular assist device implanted for treatment of end-stage heart failure. Although the former vice president and his family do not know the identity of the donor, they will be forever grateful for his life-saving gift. Now, frankly, I must interject here. All right-wing Republicans need a heart transplant.
Yeah, because they're heartless.
Correct.
They have hearts of stone.
Cheney suffered a heart attack in 2010, his fifth since the age of 37. He underwent bypass surgery in 1988 and has had 2 angioplasties to clear narrowed coronary arteries. Doctors implanted a special pacemaker in his chest in 2001. And in 2008, they restored a normal heartbeat rhythm with electrical shock. He previously has been treated for an atrial fibrillation, an abnormal rhythm involving the upper chambers of the heart. Sounds like Iron Man without the goodness.
Yeah, the Iron Man movie, yeah. The Iron Man, yeah.
Cheney said in an NBC interview on January 18, 2011, that he thought he might need a heart transplant because of his medical history.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, he was getting by with a battery-powered heart pump. Cheney was vice president in President George W. Bush's administration from 2001 to 2009. He also was defense secretary under Bush's father, George H.W. Bush. Heart failure kills 57,000 Americans a year and contributes to many more deaths. Shortly after Cheney's surgery was disclosed, one prominent cardiologist, a Dr. Eric Topol, of Scripps Health in La Jolla, California, raised the issue of whether someone so old should have received the new heart. The ethicists will get into this case, he wrote on Twitter. Others disagree. It is not too old. Age is really not a factor, said Dr. William Zogby of Methodist Hospital's DeBakey Heart and Vascular Center in Houston. He is incoming president of the American College of Cardiology, and he spoke in Chicago.
Well,
nothing more to say on Mr. Iron Man, eh?
Well, you know, as a fellow human being, I'm sorry the man had to get a heart transplant, but he's also very...
evil?
Yeah, he's evil, and he was directly involved in war profiteering along with G.W. Bush, sending young Americans, men and women, to their death or getting their body parts blown off for profit for the fat cats.
Halliburton, KBR.
Halliburton, he's a great representative of the devil's economics on a worldwide basis, a worldwide stance here. You know, he's a key player. Let's put it that way. So he's definitely no angel by any stretch of the imagination. But I don't want to talk too much about him because him and Dick Cheney and G.W. Bush did a serious amount of massive damage
to this country.
In over eight years of his administration, and also I would say that they were also a big contributor to the environment, global warming, allowing what is the biggest instigator? The petroleum companies pouring fluorocarbons into the atmosphere.
Well, all
what
that
started
coal, coal, nuclear, oil
companies,
all of that, the fossil fuel industry, cars,
destruction,
automobiles.
Where the electric car and the hybrid could have been
saviors
used decades ago. We had the technology to do that, they didn't do it. And destruction of the rainforest, of course, destroying plants and trees doesn't help. It actually hurts a lot. So the temperature change, and now we have the ice sheets breaking apart in Greenland and Antarctica, and the North Pole melting, and and the sea levels rising, and
they don't believe in it.
Well, Dr. Gary Null had some experts on his show, and he says if they don't do anything within 7 years, drastically worldwide.
7 years.
Worldwide.
We're almost past the tipping points.
We're almost past the tipping point of no return.
No return. No return.
Even if everybody turn green and organic and nice and progressive and liberal,
yeah,
doesn't matter.
No. How do you put those? How do you put those ice sheets back?
By slowly restoring the holes in the ozone with
how do you do that?
Replant all the trees and stop the fluorocarbons from being pumped into the atmosphere.
God promises to do that when He comes back in the millennium.
Yeah, I know, but
level the mountains, plant trees, green the deserts.
But what about
oases? Water, wealth from the seas.
Well, what about trying to preserve our survival before that happens?
Well, because our survival is going to be up to the participants in World War III, which will eventually come to the point of annihilating every human flesh on the planet unless Jesus intervenes.
So even if everybody turned all progressive and nice, the World War III and the Great Tribulation will still commence. And well, I'm concerned about the solar storms, the solar flares right now. I'm concerned about the radiation from that. I mean, that's the immediate future.
Well, that'll knock a lot of people back to cave days, won't it?
You mean the grid? The grid's going out?
Yeah. We depend so much on electricity.
When the grids go out, the internet, the phones, the scanners at the supermarket, right? Lights.
The furnace.
The furnace, if it happens to be winter.
Water treatment plants.
Water treatment plants.
Etc.
And the nuclear...
Oh, they're finito. They need that cold water, man.
Is there any way to shut them down so that there won't be a meltdown?
That takes time to shut them down. And they'll probably shut down by themselves.
Well, we don't want them
once the grids are gone.
We don't want them to shut down like it did in Fukushima.
Well, that's probably, that's the scenario that's going to take place.
and I can picture everybody rushing for the major highways to escape the area, and then you have bumper to bumper traffic that's not moving. Meanwhile, the radiation is
slowly eking our way.
Yeah.
Down the Hudson River.
All the major roads will be bumper to bumper. So the whole concept of
I saw once a
escaping
end of the world type movie like that.
Like
that's
apocalyptic?
Exactly, yeah, and that's exactly what it was. A magnanimous, a magnificent traffic jam with everybody trying to get the hell out of there.
Did you know that there's a reality show about people who have built bunkers and who are stockpiling for the end, for the apocalypse? They actually made a reality show out of it on TV.
Well, you know, a lot of your in your twister-prone areas, you know, a lot of your shelters can be used in that manner, I would suppose.
I'm glad you brought that up. Tornado Alley, which is probably it's probably Kansas, Oklahoma, maybe parts of Missouri, perhaps that whole area where they get big, you know, where they get F5 tornadoes and other, you know, lesser tornadoes. Why do they continue to build regular homes and not the concrete block and steel homes that they build in hurricane-prone areas, like let's say the Caribbean and South Florida? Why do they continue to build standard homes with shingles and wood and
whatever happened? You look at the architecture back there and everything's made out of stone.
Yeah, why?
Whatever happened? Well, when did we go to wood?
Yeah, why is Tornado Alley? Why do they build homes that look like that are primarily wood? You know, and sheetrock, and you know, and of course there's no basements. So where do you escape to? I mean, no basements if you live in Oklahoma and there's an F5 tornado.
They used to have, you know, the trapdoor shelters that you used to, in the basement you used to go into.
Everybody should have that.
Now they have them built into the side of the wall.
But I'm talking about
dirt.
The insurance companies, you know, paying for the damage. What about like in Florida? Now, after the insurance companies got sick and tired of paying the massive amounts of money after Hurricane Andrew and all the hurricanes, you know, Katrina, whatever, you know, they made it mandatory that you have to build a house in a certain way if you live near the coast in South Florida or in the Gulf region, you know, a hurricane-prone area. You have to have a home made of, you know, concrete block and steel, and you have to have concrete columns so the water can rush underneath, and it's mandatory because they got tired of paying out, and I don't blame the insurance companies, you know. But Tornado Alley, they're still building the homes the same way. Interesting. Yeah. All right.
A California-based researcher says a survey she did of about 1,000 Americans suggesting that chocolate may make you leaner. The survey found that those who ate chocolate about 5 times a week had a body mass index 1 point lower than those who did not indulge.
Oh, really?
Beatrice Golom, University of California, San Diego, researcher, wrote in a letter, "For someone who weighs 120 pounds and is 5 feet tall, 1 BMI point translates to about 5 pounds. Gollum said in the telephone interview, the report, the first to tie chocolate consumption to lower body mass index, doesn't say how much or what type of chocolate was eaten, nor does it control for diet and exercise, opening the way for more research. While not definitive, what other study is ever definitive? They never say it. You know, you can do 800 million studies on vitamin E, and they'll say, well, we need another study.
Another one, another one, another one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While not definitive, the survey does pose a very interesting question. that researchers can jump on. Lowering of BMI wasn't related to how much they ate, but frequency. The survey results suggest researchers looking at diet should consider the types rather than number of calories people are eating, as foods such as cinnamon and chocolate are found to provide possible health benefits, said Gollum, an associate professor of family and preventive medicine at the university's School of Medicine. Well, we know what kind of chocolate it is. It's dark chocolate.
Oh yeah, without the sugar, not milk chocolate.
Not milk chocolate.
No, dark chocolate.
Right.
Dark chocolate. Okay.
Paterson, New Jersey.
Okay, I know it well. Where the location of America's newest national park, the Great Falls.
Nala, the pit bull, was back to her old self on Tuesday.
Oh, I'm not familiar with the story, but we love animals here.
Gingerly prancing around her Glover Avenue home, following a near-fatal encounter with a car tire rim. For nearly 2 agonizing hours, Tuesday afternoon, animal control officers and firefighters tried to free Nala's head from the steel rim in her backyard. They pulled, they pushed, they squeezed, they tried soap and baby oil. No doubt about it, Nala was wedged in tight. Nala's owner, Jasmine Bonilla, had let the dog out to use the bathroom. When Bonilla called out minutes later, there was no response.
Right.
Then she spotted Nala in the tire and called Paterson Animal Control. Animal Control Officer Mike Rodriguez arrived first. He tried every possible way to free the 5-month-old, 30-pound pit bull before calling Chief Animal Control Officer John DeCando and telling him, I think we're going to need the fire department.
Okay.
Rodriguez had tried soap, but that didn't work at first. Just when you think you've seen it all, DeCando said, firefighters arrived at 5 p.m. Those guys were fantastic. Firefighters used soap and sprayed water around Nala's neck, creating suds for cushion. Nala snapped at them.
Well, pit bulls they could be a little cantankerous, or maybe because the dog was stressed out and afraid. Could be it.
Finally, DeCando tranquilized Nala.
Right.
That immobilized her, DeCando said. She could hear and see, but was relaxed. She was not going to fight us. Soon Nala was snoring. Firefighters used more soap. Vanilla provided Dove dish detergent.
Oh, any particular reason?
For slipperiness.
Pit bull terriers like Dove soap?
One firefighter grabbed Nala's snout.
Not Palmolive?
Snout, which is not, there's not too much of a snout on a pit bull.
No, very wide face.
Anyway, he gently pushed a little at a time. First they freed her ears. Then slowly the rest of her head followed. After Nala was freed, one firefighter remarked that it was like delivering a baby. Bonilla said that another firefighter asked, "Where's the cigars?" DeCando said Nala might have suffocated if she had not been freed when she was. Firefighters would have had to use a saw to cut the rim if soap and water had not worked. The problem was the rim was steel. I was scared for a second, Bonilla said. She's my friend. She was a Christmas gift.
Ah.
Here's a picture.
Oh, okay. Hold on. The pit bull. Let me show it properly. And just the top part?
Yeah.
Or the whole thing?
That shows her in the rim.
Show the whole thing or just the...
Yeah, show her in the rim because the other one is, she's out.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on. Okay, let me see if I can show her. It's a little crooked. Okay. Is it in?
Down a little.
Down.
Okay, right there, right there.
It's basically in view. Should I get closer?
Try it. Okay.
Her name is Mela.
Nala.
Oh, Nala. Nala the pit bull in the tire rim. See it? All right.
Yeah, she's in it up to the back of her ears.
Oh wow. That's true. Wow. Poor thing, man. So everything ended up okay. Or?
She must have been nosy, huh?
You know what dogs I didn't realize look so damn cute when you don't clip their ears and their tail? Doberman pinchers. I've seen them in a video running around and playing. A Doberman breeder. I know people don't talk about Dobermans anymore because they're not in vogue. You know, it's either law enforcement uses German Shepherds and different varieties of German Shepherds, you know, Belgian Shepherds, you know, for sniffing out drugs and finding bodies and for apprehending criminals. You know, they tend to use German Shepherds, but and of course pit bulls are popular because for the fighting that they do. I guess I guess the kids think it's cool to have them.
They're popular amongst drug dealers too, to protect them.
Yeah, but then again, a Rottweiler is a very formidable dog too. Rottweiler is like a tank. But Dobermans, you used to hear about them a lot and see them in movies back in the 80s, 70s and 80s. But you don't really, they're out of vogue. But from what I understand, they are very smart and very, very obedient. I don't know why they don't use them in law enforcement and you know, in that nature anymore. But they were cute with their natural ears, unclipped. Yeah, they look pretty cute. They're very streamlined too. You know they say if the nation becomes or the world becomes apocalyptic, you know, to the point where we have martial law and all that stuff, they say that the dogs with the flat faces will not survive, but the dogs with the narrow, pointy snouts will.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the breathing.
What does that have to do with if we don't survive?
Yeah, I mean, it's not good news for us because these dogs will form packs. They'll form like wolf packs.
The wild animals in the end time shall be wild, and they shall be in our garbage cans, etc.
It's happening now.
Right in with you humans.
Do you know that the polar bears who decided...
We're getting eaten by snakes while we're jogging. We're getting eaten by alligators while we're jogging. What the hell?
You mean like in Florida? Mountain lions?
Yeah, pumas are in the backyard.
Well, I mean, yeah, in
coyotes,
certain part...
Hyenas?
We have coyotes, not hyenas.
Did you see the...
we have coyotes now, here.
Did you see the pictures the other day of the elephant protecting her small elephant from the hyenas, a pack of hyenas?
Well, yeah, of course. It's a mother. It's a mother. But we have coyotes here in New Jersey, wild turkeys, black bears, you know, but they're having a problem, like in northern Canada, where they have these oil rig towns, I think. And the problem is there's a lot of grizzlies, and the polar bears are raiding the garbage dumpsters, and the polar bears are not afraid of fire. They're losing their fear of many things, and they're inbreeding with the grizzlies.
Oy.
And the problem is the grizzlies and the polar bears are carnivorous. They're not like the black bears. See, it's not good, man. It's not good. Anyway, what do you got there?
Jefferson City, Missouri.
Jefferson City, Missouri.
House Speaker Stephen Tilley has been getting a lot of deliveries from women's rights groups since his decision to commission a bronze bust of Rush Limbaugh.
Maybe he should get advice from his Aunt Tilly.
To be placed among other honorees in the Hall of Famous Missourians at the Capitol. 2 weeks ago, one group wheeled 600 rolls of toilet paper into the middle of his office, waving signs and telling the speaker to flush Rush.
They should.
On Wednesday, another round of protesters marched around the north side of the Capitol before piling up pages.
Hold on.
I thought he went by already.
Do I need to go out there with my shillelagh? All right, go ahead.
Piling up pages with about 35,000 petition signatures outside Tilly's third-floor corner office. The Perryville Republican announced the honor for the conservative radio host days after Limbaugh described a Georgetown law student as a slut and a prostitute for her testimony about birth control before congressional Democrats. Limbaugh has since apologized for his language.
Yeah, he was forced to. He was forced to apologize. He should never have called her that. It's highly insulting and degrading to call somebody
inaccurate.
That. And inaccurate, a lie. Was he being a little Santorum-ish when he called her those names?
I would say.
A little right-wing fundamental, judgmental, self-righteous there?
I would say.
Okay.
The protesting groups say Limbaugh's remarks were disrespectful to all women.
Yes.
Jessica Peters, a Planned Parenthood volunteer from Kansas City, said they should preclude Limbaugh from having his bust placed in the Hall of Famous Missourians.
Right.
I think that words have a lot of power to them. If we say it's okay for somebody to call somebody a slut, then it's okay for people to use name calling. Despite the protests, Tilly hasn't given any indication he's thinking about changing his mind about the honor. Tilly said Limbaugh, who is from Cape Girardeau, is an important, if controversial, figure in Missouri's history.
Cape Girardeau, Missouri. His father was an attorney.
Yes.
Cape Girardeau, it's not spelled, it's spelled like a French word, Girardeau, like it was a D-E-A-U, something like, yeah, Cape Girardeau, Missouri. It's like, I think it's a suburb of Kansas City.
Other inductees into the Hall of Famous Missourians include President Harry Truman, Mark Twain, Walt Disney, George Washington Carver,
really,
and Stan Musial.
I like Stan Musial. I like George Washington Carver a lot, and of course Harry Truman. Walt Disney I can't stand. I could not stand. Mark Twain's cool. Mark Twain, was his real name Samuel Clemens or Samuel Clemens? He wrote Huckleberry Finn, and among other things. Okay. See, I didn't know that. So Stan Musial of the St. Louis Cardinals was a native Missourian. Okay. See, I didn't know that. Well,
I can't get a bust, but Rush Limbaugh can. I want a bust.
Well, in order to get a bust, not a bust for my shillelagh, he's talking about a sculpture, a bust, It's like a headshot. It's like taking a headshot photograph.
Like Reich on his tomb.
Yeah, it's like taking a headshot of somebody and making a sculpture out of it, a bust. First of all, somebody has to be willing to do it as a donation, unless you got bucks and you could pay for it. But where do you want the bust?
I want it on my tomb.
How about putting it on top of, let's say, the Chrysler building and having two glowing eyes, have your eyes flash with giant LED lights? How's that sound?
I do not wish to be incorporated.
No, you just want it.
I want it on top. You know when you go to Rio de Janeiro?
Memorandum? Oh, like a sugar loaf?
Yeah, when you see Jesus up there.
With his arms spread?
Huh?
With his arms spread out?
That's what I want. Want a bus.
Well,
on top of a mountain.
You know what I'd rather do? You ever watch, for you people out there, ever watch Futurama, the cartoon made by Matt Groening of The Simpsons? What they do is, in the future, on the cartoon, they take very important people, and before they croak, they take their brains, their head, and they preserve it so that their head is still talking, and their body is not with them. So, you know,
how the hell can their head talk?
And they preserve them forever. Their brain is continuing, and so in other words, we would still have you forever, but you would be only giving your spiritual input and your decision making.
Yeah, but the brain and the head are still going to die. They still have telomeres programming their death.
It's a cartoon. I was just going to say, I hope you can use telekinesis and still type your newsletter. And still type, yeah. But anyway, thank you for joining us. But oh, getting back to one of the most important topics of the show. The boy, hoodie or no hoodie, was still murdered in cold blood for the reason of racial profiling. It's racism. Do you agree?
Well, now they're trying, as I said, with PR to say that the boy was the aggressor.
How are you an aggressor with a can of soda and a bag of Skittles?
And being followed, stalked.
And being stalked by this guy. How are you an aggressor? How are you a troublemaker if you're walking from a 7-Eleven to your house where you live, and the poor kid didn't even know he was going to lose his life? And this guy is not arrested.
Correct.
It's not his job.
That's the least of what should have been done.
The dispatcher of the Sanford and Son, of the Sanford, anyway, the Sanford and Son Police Department told this Zimmerman security officer, idiot,
not a security officer, just a neighborhood watchman.
A neighborhood watchman that was
carrying, baby. He was carrying a piece.
He was packing heat. He was carrying.
Yeah.
Could you legally carry without a permit?
You saw those guys.
Florida?
You saw the guy with the AK-47 at the Obama rallies.
Oh yeah, that's very reassuring.
Oh yeah.
To know you can walk around.
Know that nuts can carry guns around.
So this guy, who's not even a security officer, this makes the drama even worse. He's not even a security officer, a licensed security officer. He's just a citizen that's on neighborhood patrol watch, decides to stalk, hunt down, carrying a firearm, and he was told by the Sanford police dispatcher not to stalk and follow this young man. He didn't listen. He followed him anyway, and he shot him in cold blood. The kid was unarmed. He just had soda in a can and Skittles in a bag, and you know, he was wearing, which is totally besides the point. It has nothing to do with anything that he was wearing a hoodie. The fact is, the kid was not threatening anybody or doing anything, and if this kid beat up Zimmerman, this little frail young boy beat up this big burly husky guy, adult, Zimmerman would have bruises and scratches or something, but there was no evidence of a scuffle, so he killed him. I have to call him like I see him, even though some of my conservative friends bucked heads with me. I have to, of course they like this whole idea.
Because they hate blacks.
It's racism.
For
the same reason why they single out Latins in Arizona and in the America's South and maybe even Texas, you know, and they want to round up Latins and deport them, even if they're legal citizens or they have a green card, legal green card. It's all racism, same thing, racial profiling. It could be towards Muslim Americans. You know, of Arab descent. It's not good. It's not good. Anyway, thank you for joining us. This has been, I believe, the 113th Progressive Discussions. I checked that out this morning. This is the 113th Progressive Discussions. Now, depending on what happens, we may be forced in about 1 month from now, we might, unless something positive happens, we might have to go on hiatus, not a hiatal hernia, but hiatus for Progressive Discussions. But we will continue. I have a game plan, but we will continue to put of course, the God Project and the reading of Censored on the internet on demand for you to listen to and watch on YouTube. That will continue. That's really the backbone of what we do. And of course the newsletter. You know, I mean, if worse comes to worse and we have to go on hiatus, I mean, gee, you're going to still have way over 100 Progressive Discussions, well, to listen to. And the videos are not, it's not 113 videos, but it's still a great deal of videos that you can watch. And, you know, and of course, I mean, radio is nice. The only thing is, with Progressive Discussions, you can listen to us unless we get screwed up. And look, we might have to go on hiatus across the board in 30 days unless we get a very large amount of subscriptions. A very large amount of subscriptions. But if we do go on hiatus in 30 days, what I'm trying to say is there's a good chance we might still be able to continue to post the readings of Censored and the God Project on demand. So you can still listen to the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman. And until we get on our feet again. Looks like Beelzebub is on a little scooter, huh? It's just a kid being obnoxious.
Wasting gas.
Wasting valuable, expensive gas. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again, God willing, next week.
And the creek don't rise.
Yeah, next Saturday. Bye-bye. Say so long to everybody.
So long, everybody.